We've come to the crucial time here at this plant. We stand at the crossroads as to which way you will go in regard to this union question. Only you can make the decision. I want to emphasize to you, however, that this is a decision which can have a vital effect upon your job, upon your future, and upon the future of those who are dependent upon you. I urge you to think seriously, to weigh the whole matter thoroughly, and from every standpoint as you make up your mind on this thing. If this union were to come into this plant, would it work to your advantage, or would it work to your disadvantage? This is the question that you've got to answer for yourselves. It is not simply the company's interest, it is just as much your own interest which are at stake in this election. Now notice that the union has predicted in one of their leaflets that I would bring you together and that I would talk with you about this matter. The leaflet even named the day as the day when I would talk. It's easy for them to figure this out because the labor laws do not permit me to talk to you unless it is more than a day ahead of any election. Yet they, the union, are not held to any such labor restriction. They can talk and they can handbill right up to the last minute. In this same connection, I also noticed that the union makes a great point of the fact that this company has lawyers, legal lawyers to guide us on these things. As complicated as the labor laws are today, any company would be foolish not to have legal advice in matters such as this. I can assure you that the union also has their high-priced lawyers. The big difference being that the company lawyers are paid for by the company, the labor lawyers are paid for out of the pockets of working people out of union dues. The union lawyers' talk about lawyers is really all beside the point. You know that they got lawyers, and you know that we got lawyers. The real question is, what will be your vote in this matter? In making this decision, you need to know the truth and the facts. And I'm now standing before you, telling you what I sincerely believe to be the truth and the facts about this matter. I am responsible, and this company is responsible for all that I say to you. I ask you to heed what I say only to the extent that you find it sensible and reasonable and truthful. Now let's think for just a minute why it is that this union is so anxious to get in here at this plant. Why do these union organizers keep after you? As you know, this company, J.P. Stevens, has 75 plants. They're located all the way from New England down to Alabama. And the organizers for the union have been knocking on the doors of people in these plants for the past several years. Some of the organizers that are working right here, right now, have been out working on other Stevens employees, telling them exactly the same things that they're telling you, and making them exactly the same promises that they're making to you now. Yet it is a fact, an undeniable fact, that when these other Stevens employees have looked over this union, plain and simple and undeniable fact is that in no Stevens plant anywhere have the people voted in this union or any other union. I'll tell you, if you people don't mind, I appreciate you being quiet. I asked these people together and I'd like them to hear what I have to say. This is why these organizers are hammering at you so persistently. They have had slim pickings everywhere else. Their union is not doing well. This Textile Workers AFL-CIO union has far less members now than it used to have. Just a few weeks ago, the people in a plant of another textile company over in Marion, North Carolina, voted this same union down. Only last week, they lost another election in another textile plant. A few weeks back, they managed to hold on to a slim margin up at Elkin in that plant there. But it looks like the union is on the way out at that plant. So now they are desperate to get you into their bag. They have spent large amounts of money in their campaigns at these Stevens plants. And they are determined that you shall now begin to pay them back for all the money which they have spent in their unsuccessful drive. I'd like for you to ask yourself this question. Why did these union organizers come here in your interest, or did they come here in their own interest? This is a question that is at the bottom of the whole matter. You are people of good sense and common correction. You are people of common sense and good judgment. And do you think that these union organizers heard about you from somewhere way off, and out of the goodness of their heart, they decided to come down here and do something good for you? You know as well as I do that they came here in order to accomplish something for themselves. That was their object, and that is their business. They want to be able to say that although they have failed at every other Stevens plant, they got you to vote for them, no matter what unfortunate results it may cause for you. Now they tell you, of course, that if you will vote for them, some fine things is going to start to happen almost immediately. Your pay will jump up, and benefits of various kinds will be heaped upon you. Never was a more false impression created. Voting for a union will not automatically bring any wage increases or any other benefits whatever to you. Now, so there won't be any misunderstanding, I want to repeat that statement. Voting for a union will not automatically bring any wage increases or any other benefits whatever to you. In saying this, I am simply trying to make sure that you understand the facts about the matter. I think it is fair to you that the truth should be laid before you in order that you can make your decision wisely and intelligently, in order that you will not assume things which in the long run may prove out to be entirely incorrect and untrue. Now suppose that this union were voted in. What could it force the company to do? The answer is nothing that this company might not consider to be reasonable or practical. The union could, of course, try to pressure the company by pulling you out on strike. I hope you understand, however, that this company has no intention of yielding to any sort of strike pressure. I don't mean to sound hard-headed on this. I simply think it is should be understood clearly before anybody goes down the wrong road, believing that a union can deliver things which they definitely cannot. The truth of the whole matter is this: it is our definite plan and our intention to do all that we can in the way of steadily improving pay and benefits and working conditions in this plant. No union can make us do any more than that. Business and competitive conditions control such matters. Unions don't control them, no matter what any organizer may tell you. In trying to force companies to do more, unions have often caused plants to go out of business and close down. This is a fact, and it should be faced as a fact. Now, in order to make your decision about this matter, carefully and intelligently, you should look at all these facts. Union organizers can tell you anything, making promises and things of that nature. They do not have to back up what they say. They are here today and gone tomorrow. The company furnishes these jobs, and this company has always been and will continue to be at the forefront of the textile industry in pay and benefits. Each and every year for the past several years, you have had regular wage increases. You have already been assured of another increase a little more than 2 weeks from now. And it is the hope and the definite intention of this company to keep on improving pay and benefits for you. The union tries to catch the allegiance of people by holding up in front of them some especially high rate or rates here and there, regardless of whether these rates have anything to do with the type of work in this plant or not. We must realize that we cannot get out of line with other textile plants and companies with whom we compete in our business. Business competition is what controls such matters. Unions cannot change that. You can bring 17 unions into Turnersburg plant, and it ain't going to make it no automobile factory, or it ain't going to make it no chemical plant. The union talks about job security and the advantages of union contracts. Yet the undeniable truth is that in many places where the people have had a union, they now have no jobs at all. In many companies, employees have for years paid union dues. Yet today, a great many of those people have no jobs. For many of those plants which had unions and union contracts are now closed down and out of business. The union did not protect the employees who worked under the union contracts in those places that were closed down. The plain and simple truth is that economic and competitive conditions control such matters, and a union cannot control them, no matter what any union organizer tells you. Now, certainly we cannot claim that everything is the way everybody would like to have it here in this plant. We in management and we in supervision are not free from error. We are human and we make mistakes. But I do ask you to believe me, however, when I tell you that we want to improve things and we are trying to improve things. Now, in connection with this, I noticed that some of these union leaders try to throw off on me and raise questions as to whether I have really been sent here to improve this plant or just sent up here to soft soap you people. Now, quite frankly, what that union thinks about me don't amount to two you know what so far as I'm concerned. But I would like to tell you a little something about myself. I've shined machines, I've dogged, I've fixed on pullers, and I know the details of the kind of job that you people are running out here in this plant. As manager of Turnersburg, it is my responsibility to resolve problems and difficulties and to improve conditions and relations in this plant in every way. However, I hope you people realize that this can only be accomplished by everyone working together. It cannot be accomplished by everyone pulling apart. Now, in making your decision as to how you vote in this election, there's another thing which you should give careful attention to, and that is the undeniable fact that this Textile Workers AFL-CIO union has a bad record for strikes, long and bitter and costly strikes. Do you think it's wise to place your future in the hands of men who may lead you down that road? I am sure that I don't need to stress to you the dangers of strikes and the trouble and dissension, the strain, the strife, and the tension that comes from them. You have heard and read all about it many, many times, and I'm sure that some of you have worked in situations such as that, and you know that it is the truth. There are many instances in which people have voted for a union, and soon after they voted it in, they were out on strike. And while they were out on the picket line, other people came and took their jobs. Through the union and the union strikes, they gained nothing. Instead, they lost everything, including their jobs. You should also remember that when a union calls you out on strike in order to force a company to agree to what the union wants, it is definitely the right of the company to fill the job of those who see fit to go on strike. Now that's one point that the union seems to keep harping on in their handbill. I want to repeat it for you. Those whose jobs are filled while they are out on such strike have no right automatically to return to their jobs after that or get their jobs back even when the strike has ended. There are many clear and plain examples of this sort of thing right here in North Carolina. I imagine a good many of you are familiar with the strike over at Harriet Henderson Cotton Mills in Henderson, North Carolina, a few years back. That was the same Textile Workers Union of America that got the people out on strike and kept them out for many months. They lost tremendous amount of pay. They drew no unemployment compensation. There was mass picketing and violence of all sorts. Finally, the National Guard had to be called out, and a number of people wound up in the state penitentiary for attempting to dynamite the mill. At the end, 800 employees of the Harriet Henderson plant lost their jobs permanently as a result of following this same union, which now asks you to follow where it leads. More recently, the same thing happened at the Collins and Aikman plant in Albemarle, North Carolina. There again, more than 100 people lost their jobs permanently in a strike called by the same union, which is asking you to vote it in here. Still later, the same thing happened at National Spinning down in Whiteville, North Carolina. And again, it was at the hands of the same union. How many strikes have there been up here at Chatham? At least 3 that I know of. And in none of these strikes has the union gained anything for the employees that they did not have before. But the union strike did cost them lost work and lost pay. Over at Dukeland Company in Winston-Salem, this same Textile Workers Union had a strike going on last month. it did not gain a thing for the people there, and it caused bitterness and dissension and violence. Finally, they gave the strike up, and they told the people to go on back in the plant and get your jobs back if you can. Right now, this same union has got the employees out on a strike at the plant of the Field Press Mill down in Columbus, Georgia. This is the strike calling union. I repeat, this is the very same union which is right now asking you to vote for it and to bring it in here and follow it where it leads. Now, what about the money that the union takes from the employees when it gets in? Quite often, people assume that the union dues or fines or assessments that are imposed by the union will be paid for the company and not by themselves. This is, of course, completely false. If a union were to get in, the company would not pay any of its dues, any of its fines, or fees, or assessments, or any other costs and charges. All that would have to come from your own pocket and paycheck. And that, of course, is exactly what the union expects to get from you. What they're spending on organizer salaries, what they're spending on making up all these leaflets and the handbills and the like, they now hope to get that back from you. That is their business, collecting dues from working people. Whether you want to let them have some of your money is entirely up to you. It's your business. But don't make any mistake about it. It is your money that they're after. Now, sometimes people have the idea that the thing to do is, well, we go ahead and get this union in here, and I ain't really going to get involved in it. I'm going to see what happens because I've got nothing to lose. Is it true that you have nothing to lose? If the union were voted in, could you stand to one side and remain unaffected by it? I'd like for you to consider these facts. In the first place, if a majority were to vote for the union, then it would by law represent not only those who voted for it, it would automatically and by law be the agent for everyone in the voting union. And everyone would be bound by what it said and did, whether they wanted to be bound by it or not. And at that point, the rights and the freedom of each employee to come in and settle matters personally would be gone. Every employee's affairs would have to be handled by the persons who got themselves appointed as shop stewards and committeemen in the union. Everybody who values his individual freedom should think about this. Can the union call a strike even though you don't want it? The answer is that it certainly can. 10 or 12 or any small number can gather at a union meeting and vote for a strike. And that would be an officially called strike of all the employees of this Hermannsburg plant. There is no law and no restriction that prevents it from happening this way. And in fact, this is the way that the union strikes are usually called. In one of its recent leaflets, the union makes this statement, and I quote their exact words: "There can never be and never will be a strike at your plant unless you, the workers, call a strike." Yet a little further on in that same leaflet, the union admits that a majority of those who are present at a union meeting can call a strike. Now think about that for a minute. The union first tells you absolutely there can never be and never will be, a strike at your plant unless you, the workers, call a strike. Then later, it says that a majority of whoever is at a union meeting can call an official strike, and then the strike will be for the entire plant. Can you afford to follow a union that will try to mislead you with that sort of deception? Do you think it's wise to place yourself and your future in the hands of people that would deceive you that way? Now suppose this union were voted in, and after a while a few of its members held a union meeting and voted for a strike. Could you then stand aside and remain unaffected? Do you at that point stand to lose nothing, or do you stand to lose everything? If you try to come to work through union picket lines, you may be in for some unpleasant experiences, and violence, threats of violence, both at work and at home. If you do not come to work in the face of a strike, you lose your pay. You will draw no unemployment compensation. And if someone else is put in your job, you may have lost it permanently. Certainly, it is most emphatically not true that if this union comes in, you can stand to one side and not be affected by it with nothing to lose. Everything you have may be at stake as you decide whether you will vote for or against this union on Wednesday of this week. Now, these organizers try to sell you the idea that if you were to vote the union in, you would be the union, and you would control it, and you would run it. Let me show you how untrue that is. I have read the Constitution and the bylaws of this union, of the Textile Workers AFL-CIO Union. In Article 9, Section 8 of its Constitution, this union says that, and I quote, all books, records, funds, and property in the possession of or subject to the control of any local union shall be and remain the property of the international union. The union tells you that you will be the union, but when you read their Constitution and their bylaws, you find the international union owns all the funds, all the money, all the property, and everything else in possession of the local union, even the local union books and records. Instead of you being the union, it is obvious that you, the local union, would be owned lock, stock, and barrel by the international union. With regard to strikes, Article 17 of this same union's Constitution and bylaws states that the general president of the union, and he only, may declare any strike terminated. In other words, if you were in the union and a strike were called here, it would not be within your authority to end the strike. The general president of the union, and he alone, would be the person with the authority to end the strike. If the organizers try to lead you to believe that the union would not dictate to you what to do and what not to do, the plain and simple and undeniable truth is that the union would dictate to you and would control you. Now, I want to give you an example of that has just occurred right here at this plant. Within recent days, this union has put out a leaflet on which it listed the names of a considerable number of you people. The leaflet stated that the people whose names appeared on that leaflet had authorized the union to use their names in that manner. Yet various of those persons were surprised to see their names publicized and circulated on that leaflet, stated that they did not authorize any such use of their names, and that the union has completely deceived them. So again, I emphasize to you that this union does what it wants to do and what it decides not to do, whether it is in accordance with your wishes and your interests or not. And I ask you again, can you afford to place yourselves in the hands of a union which will deliberately deceive and mislead you whenever it may decide to do so? Now let me give you another example. I understand that the union organizers are telling people who they have tried to persuade to come over to their side, but they have not been able to do so. Well, go ahead and vote against our union, but so that company will know that you voted for them, you put your name or you put your initials on that ballot. Now that is pure trickery on the part of the union. It is a fact, and the union organizers know it, that any name or any initial on any ballot will void it completely. In order for your ballot to be counted, you definitely must not mark anything except the X on it. Also, I understand that they're going around telling some people there's going to be 2 ballot boxes out there. There's going to be one you're supposed to put them in for the union, another over here and put them in for the company. They ain't but one ballot box, and they all go in there and they get shook up together. So that's another way where they're trying to trick you. Quite often, union members are fined and punished by the unions for things which used to be a matter of people's own free choice. Union members have recently been fined $500 because they wouldn't walk a picket line during a strike. Other union members have been fined $100 because they did more work than the union thought they should, or because they worked overtime when the unions didn't want them to do so. Among the very latest cases, there are some in which unions have fined their members hundreds of dollars each because they worked overtime when the union told them not to do so, and because they came to work when the union wanted them to stay out. There is still another case in which a union member was fined for going to church instead of attending a union meeting. There are still other cases in which the union members decided, after having a union in for a while, that they didn't want it any longer. And they asked the labor board to come in and have an election to see if they could vote the union out. On this account, because they went to the labor board, they were fined several $100s by the union. Having once voted the union in, they found that they were locked in. The union organizers don't normally tell you things like this. Now, I hope you will remember that although some of you have signed union cards at one time or another, that has no bearing upon your right to vote as you see fit in this election. You should vote as you believe it to be wise and for your best interest. You are completely free to vote against the union, regardless of the fact that at some time or other you may have signed a card. Now, there seems to be some confusion on that one, so I'll read that statement again to you. You are completely free to vote against the union, regardless of the fact that at some time or other you may have signed a union card. There is another important point which I want to emphasize to you. I understand that there are some of you who are on the his side, but that you are concerned that the company may retaliate against you. I want you to know that you have need for no such worry. I want to give you this definite assurance that any who have been on the union side but now want to turn away from the union can do so in complete confidence that you're not going to be punished in any way whatsoever because of your having been on the union side. I want to emphasize to each one of you how important it is to vote in this election. It is my understanding the union organizers are saying that if you cannot see fit to vote for this union, then you should not vote at all. This is extremely misleading. It is allowing someone else to make your decisions for you on something that is valid and something that directly affects you. So once more, I want to emphasize to you that you should not stand aside on this election. It will affect you, and you should by all means help make it go the way you want it to go. Otherwise, you may be saddled with a union which you do not want. By all means, vote in this election. In this whole matter, there is a fundamental question which you should carry in your mind. What is it that you may expect if this union were to get in here? The answer, and you should not ignore it, or you should not overlook it, is trouble. That is what this very same Textile Workers AFL-CIO union is called elsewhere: strikes, lost works, lost jobs, debt, and regret. Do you see any good reason to risk all of that here? Think about these things. Think about them carefully. Think about them earnestly. And then make up your
I realize that by now, many of you are probably tired of hearing about the union. This, however, is my last opportunity to talk to you on this subject, and I appreciate your coming here and listening to what I have to say. I will not keep you long. On Wednesday, the decision will be in your hands, and I urge you to approach that decision carefully, earnestly, and thoughtfully. Within recent weeks, indeed within recent days, there is a general and rising trend of feeling which should help to guide you. More and more people, having now studied this matter, are definitely reaching the conclusion that this union has serious drawbacks and dangers in it. Already, they are beginning to see the buildup of friction, tension, and fear that a union can bring. They see people who have been friends turn against each other. They hear about an increased number of anonymous telephone calls, about union organizers writing down the automobile license number of people that do not want to talk to them, about cars being followed at night, and people calling in the police for protection against them, about union pressure groups going around in stores uptown to warn people not to talk against the union. People naturally worry that if this is starting already, how much worse might it be if the union became established in here? But the union, of course, will say, the union is not to blame. We are not causing these things to be done. To this, there is a very simple answer. These things certainly were not happening before the Union came here. And there is one sure way of making certain that these things don't keep on happening and don't get worse and worse. And that is to vote against the Union coming in here on Wednesday. There's a sure and simple way of preventing strikes and violence at these plants and in this community, and that is by a majority of you voting no in this election on Wednesday. There's a sure and simple way of making certain that this union will not get any part of your paycheck, and that is by a majority of you voting no on Wednesday. There's a sure and simple way of preventing union pushers from getting to be shop stewards and committeemen and controlling you and your affairs. And that is by a majority of you voting no on Wednesday. There's a sure and simple way of preventing your personal rights and individual independence from being transferred into the hands of others, and that is by a majority of you voting no on Wednesday. The other day, an employee came to my office and asked me a question, and I answered his question. He thanked me and left. It seems clear that he promptly went to the union and made a report there. For the union has since then advertised the conversation I had with this employee. What the employee asked me was, if the union comes in, will the company close down the Wallace plants? I told him no, the company would not do so. The union, of course, does not state what experience shows to be the full facts, namely, that though the company won't close down the plants, the union may close it down and take whatever means may be necessary in order to do so. The union certainly cannot deny that it has closed down many a plant. In this connection, I noticed there is a very important thing which the union has not denied since we brought it to your attention, both in the talk that I first made to you and in the letter that Mr. Sullivan I sent to you. This is the fact that the union cannot legally require the company to do anything that the company is not willing to agree to. And that if the union calls you out on strike, trying to force the company to agree, then the company has a right to fill the jobs of those who see fit to go on such a strike. And those whose jobs are filled while they are out on strike have no right automatically to return to their jobs or get their jobs back even when the strike is ended. Contrary to what a lot of people think, they cannot draw unemployment pay while they are out on strike. The union has not denied any of this. The union cannot truthfully deny any of it. In not denying it, the union admits that such strike possibilities and consequences may face each and every one of you. These possibilities and consequences in and of themselves would seem very sufficient reason, indeed very compelling reason, not to let this union in here. Likewise, I notice that the union has not denied the facts on another matter, which is very crucial to you, and indeed to all of us. We have told you, and have also put it in writing to you, that at the same time this union is trying to get you to vote for it, it is planning a nationwide drive called a boycott to kill the sale of all Stevens products and thereby shut down the jobs of all Stevens employees. On this subject, the union has now written you some slippery words to the effect that we can't prove that the union officials told the company they are prepared to do this. So the union is ducking behind a claim that their words can't be proved on them. But the vital point is that they do not deny that they are right now planning this nationwide ban on everything manufactured by Stevens employees. They carefully avoid denying that. So it stands undenied that right now, as they ask you to vote for them, they are hiding behind their facts and acts which they're going to wield against all Stevens employees, including you, even though you vote for them. Now, how do you feel about voting for somebody who is going to hit you in the head with an axe, even though you vote for them? We have challenged the union to put it in writing that they're not, in fact, planning to do this to you on this boycott matter. The truth is that they are planning to hurt you, and they won't deny that they are so planning. Yet this is a union that has told you that it wants to get in here in order to look at you and your best interest. Now, how many things have the union told you which look entirely different when you get into the full facts about them? They talk about some extra high rates of pay here or there or yonder in unionized plants. Yet tens of thousands of employees who are supposed to be getting those high rates are not getting them at all because they are not working at all. And in many cases, their plants have closed down and gone out of business entirely. In fact, it is in the highly unionized areas that this is most drastically true. They talk to you about the Timmy Company down in Wilmington. Yet right now we have applications for jobs here from people now working at Timmy. And there are people now working here who left jobs at Timmy to come here. And speaking of the Timmy Company, did you know that recently Timmy permanently closed down a plant up north, which for years has had this same union? The people in that plant paid their money to this same textile workers, AFL-CIO union, year after year. Now what protection is this union to them? What protection is the union to the people over at Roanoke Rapids, where they have had this union since last summer? The organizers have tried to lead you to believe that the union is shielding the Roanoke Rapids employees from the effects of the present recession. But there is not a word of truth in that, because hundreds of employees have been laid off at the Roanoke Rapids plant. There are 600 less people working there than before the union came in. Union organizers deceive you when they try to lead you to believe that they can control such matters. They do not, and they cannot. And what have they gained for the employees who voted them in at Roanoke Rapids? Not 1 cent, either in wages or benefits, beyond what you and other Stevens employees are already getting. Now I want to remind you once more that your right to vote as you choose and as you now believe to be wise and best for you, is not affected at all by your having signed a union card. You are now completely free to vote against this union, no matter how many union cards you may have signed. I also understand there are some of you who were on the union side a while back and who now want to turn away from the union and come over to the company side. But that you are concerned that the company may hereafter let you go, or in some manner retaliate against you because of your having formerly been on the union side. I want you to know that you need not have any such worries. I want to give you the definite assurance that any who have been on the union side but now want to turn away from the union can still do so in complete confidence. You are not going to be punished in any way whatever because of your having been at one time on the union side. As I come down to the conclusion of this discussion, I want to quote to you what one of the highest federal courts, the United States Court of Appeals, has written about this textile workers AFL-CIO union. This was in a case in which the employees of the side of the textile plant of the Kaiser Rolf Company had voted this union into their plant. Not long after that, the union, trying to force the company to agree to its demand, shut the plant down and prevented the employees from working there. The court held that in doing so, the union had committed extremely violent and unlawful acts against the company and against the employees. The union tried to get the United States Supreme Court to change this ruling, but the Supreme Court refused to do so. Last year, the union, under court order, had to pay more than $1.25 million for the unlawful damages it had caused in that case. Incidentally, where do you suppose the union got that $1.25 million to pay under that court order? There's only one source from which the union got it: from the pockets and paychecks of textile employees who had voted for it, as they are now asking you to do. Now, as I say, I want to quote to you what the court said about this union and its official leaders. The court said, the involvement of the union in the violent and unlawful activities during the strike is demonstrated most clearly by the actions of the union's international representatives. During the course of the strike, these union officials personally supervised and controlled the activities of the strikers. The official court findings were that employees' cars were blocked, stoned, and overturned as they attempted to enter or leave the plant, and that the union officials instructed the strikers to stop employees from entering the plant by any means they could, including stripping off their clothing. And that there were numerous other acts of extreme violence. And what union did that? It was the same textile workers AFL-CIO union, which is now at the gates of these plants. It is exactly the same union which at this moment is asking you to vote for it and bring it in here and place yourselves and your future at its hand and follow where it leads. We stand today at the crossroads. Which way will you choose? Think about these things. Think about them carefully, seriously, and earnestly. We have said to you before, and we say to you again, in all sincerity, that after you have studied the whole matter thoroughly, we believe you will surely come to the conclusion in your own good judgment that you stand to lose if this union were to get in you, and that you stand to gain by keeping it out. I thank you for your attention. The meeting stands adjourned.